3%. That's your odds of making it through the worst century in human history. And it's not the plague one. The plague one came second. Nobody guesses the winner. I'll show you why. Here's the thing about history nobody says out loud. You didn't pick. Someone spun a wheel and you landed here. Now, with plumbing and antibiotics and a sun that works. Spin it again and you land somewhere else. Most of those spins are survivable. Boring even. You farm something, you die of something with a stupid name. 5 of them are not survivable. So I ranked them. Worst to absolute worst. One question. If you were dropped in at birth, what are your odds? Quick housekeeping. This is the survival score. It's my own scoring system. It is not peer-reviewed. It is barely math. It's mortality estimates, famine records, and plague numbers squashed into one number so you can watch it get worse. Rule 2. We are not going in order. Jaunt to chronological order would tell you where this is going, and I'd rather you didn't know. Because a few centuries are going to be screaming at you the whole video, and I want them out of the way. The 5th century. The one where Rome actually falls. Genuinely bad if you're a Roman bureaucrat. Survivable if you're a farmer, which you are statistically. Empires collapse a lot slower than movies suggest. Mostly it's paperwork. The 19th century. Cholera, factory smoke, and cities that were essentially a public health experiment nobody consented to. But child mortality starts falling. You're on the good side of the curve. And the Bronze Age collapse, around 1200 BC, where basically every civilization in the Eastern Mediterranean falls over at once, and we still aren't sure why. That one genuinely deserves a spot. It lost on a technicality. The records are so thin that I can't score it honestly, which is its own kind of terrifying. Number 5, the 20th century. I know, you expected it higher. On paper, it's a nightmare. 2 world wars, a flu pandemic that killed tens of millions, more organized violence than any century before it. And yet, if you're born in 1900, you are the luckiest person in this entire video. Because something happened in the 20th century that had never happened before. Babies stopped dying. Clean water, vaccines, someone finally figuring out that surgeons should wash their hands. Global life expectancy roughly doubled in 100 years. So yes, the 20th century is violent, spectacularly violent, but it's the first century in human history where the ordinary part of life stopped trying to kill you. That's the uplift. Enjoy it. It's the last one that comes with plumbing. Number 4, the 1600s. This is the century where the weather turned on everybody at once. The planet cooled. Not dramatically, a degree or two. A degree or two is enough. Growing seasons shortened. Harvests failed. In the same stretch of decades, you get famine across Europe, revolts in China, and a war in the German lands so long they named it after its own length. The 30 Years' War. Which, and I want to stress this, they did not name in advance. Some German regions lost something like 1/5 of their people. Some lost far more. Not mostly to battles, to hunger, and to the diseases that follow hungry people around. Here's the part nobody tells you, though. This is also the century where people got suspicious. Bad harvests, dead livestock, weather that made no sense. And instead of only blaming witches and comets, a handful of people started writing things down, measuring, comparing. The worst weather in centuries helped push people toward actually checking things. Which is a bleak way to invent science, but we'll take it. Because here's what I keep running into while making this. Every single one of these centuries had people in it who were certain they were living in normal times. They weren't bracing, they weren't waiting it out. They were just Tuesday, getting on with it. You are one spin of that wheel away from any of them. The only reason you're reading a survival score instead of being one is timing. That's it. That's the whole difference. So from here, stop watching this as a list. Start picking. Which one would you actually survive? Number 3, the 200s, Rome. You've been told Rome fell in the 5th century, but Rome nearly fell in the 3rd, and almost nobody talks about it. In roughly 50 years, the empire burns through somewhere around 20-something emperors, depending on who you count. And you have to say, depending on who you count, because several of them lasted weeks. The currency collapses, silver coins get quietly watered down until they're mostly not silver, and everyone notices, and prices go insane. Then a plague arrives. Contemporary writers describe it killing thousands a day in Rome at its peak. And ancient numbers are always shaky, but the panic in the writing isn't. And your emperor situation is changing monthly, so nobody's coming to help. Yeah, your school textbook gave Rome one dramatic fall with a date on it. Y'all got sold a much tidier story than what actually happened. But the empire doesn't die. It gets reorganized, brutally, by a series of soldier emperors who were mostly terrible people with genuinely good administrative instincts. Rome buys itself another 200 years. Which matters because it means Rome is still standing for number one. But let's do your actual day. You're a baker. You've been a baker your whole life. Monday, a loaf costs what it always has. By the end of the year, it costs several times that. Not because bread got rarer, because the coin in your hand stopped meaning anything. You can't save. Saving is now a way to lose money slowly. So nobody saves, and nobody invests, and the whole economy quietly forgets how to plan. And every few months, there's a new emperor, so there's a new coin, so you do it again. Number 2, the 1300s. Yes, the plague one. I know you've been waiting. And before the plague even shows up, this century has already been hitting you. It opens with years of relentless rain. Crops rot in the fields. A great famine grinds across northern Europe and kills a chunk of the population before anyone's heard the word plague. Then a war starts that will last over 100 years. Same note as before, they did not name it in advance. And then, in 1347, the ships arrive. Over the next 4 years, the Black Death kills somewhere between a third and a half of Europe. In some towns, more. The estimates are wide because the people who would have counted were also dying. And here's your day, because this is the part the numbers hide. You don't experience a third of Europe dying. You experience a street. The baker's shut. Then the house next to the baker's is shut. Then someone you've known your whole life doesn't answer the door, and you don't go in because everyone has learned not to. Nobody knows what causes it. The leading theories are bad air, planetary alignment, and divine punishment. So the advice is, burn herbs and leave. Which is genuinely the best available advice, and it's still wrong. Leaving is how it travels. This is the closest Europe comes to a full stop. And then something genuinely strange happens. There are suddenly far fewer workers than there is work. So for the first time in a very long time, the people at the bottom have leverage. Wages rise. Laws get passed trying to stop wages rising. The laws mostly fail. The worst demographic disaster in European history also cracked open the social order that had been sitting on everyone. Not a happy ending, just an ending with consequences. Number 1. Check out the 500s. In the year 536, the sun goes out. Not entirely, but a dense haze spreads across the sky, and it does not leave. A Byzantine writer recorded that the sun gave light like the moon for a whole year. Tree rings back him up. So do ice cores. The leading explanation is a massive volcanic eruption throwing enough material into the atmosphere to dim the entire planet. Summer temperatures drop. Snow falls in the wrong months. Crops fail. Not in one region, across continents. So here's your year. Check out, it doesn't start with terror. It starts with everyone squinting. The light is wrong, and nobody can say why. And the obvious explanations, smoke, dust, weather, all get ruled out within a few weeks because it doesn't clear. You plant anyway. That's not optimism, that's just what you do in spring. The shoots come up thin and pale and stay thin. Then it's harvest, and there isn't one. Check out, so you eat what you stored last year. And that works, for a while. And then it's the second spring, and the sky is still wrong. That's the part that breaks it. One bad year is a hardship. 2 consecutive failed harvests across continents with no reserves left? That's a different category of event. Famine follows. Then, in 541, while everyone is already starving, the plague arrives. The plague of Justinian. Modern scholars argue hard about the death toll. Older estimates ran enormous. Newer work pulls them down. But it hit an Eastern Roman Empire that was mid-famine, mid-cold snap, and mid-war. So here's your 3%. Check out 3%. Not because the plague was the deadliest ever recorded. It probably wasn't. But because it landed on people who had already lost 2 harvests and the sun. Every other century on this list hits you with one catastrophe and lets you improvise. The 6th hits you with the weather, the food supply, and a pandemic. In that order, with no gap. Historians have called 536 the worst year to be alive. Not the deadliest year, the worst one to be in. And this is the part that gets me. They had no idea why any of it was happening. No volcano theory, no germ theory. The sky dimmed and the food stopped and people died, and there was no explanation available to anyone alive. They rebuilt anyway. Check out, under a sun that didn't work, with no idea if it was ever coming back, they planted the next season. That's the whole species, really. That's the answer to the wheel. So, 5 spins. 71, 55, 33, 12, 3. You landed on none of them. You got the one with the plumbing and the vaccines and the sun that works. Statistically, you are having the easiest human experience that has ever been available. Which is not the same as easy, but it's worth about 3 seconds of noticing. Tell me which century you'd actually pick, though. I want to see who says the 14th. That's a cry for help. History, I guess. See you at the next terrible